The Jewish Channel's Week in Review. The man who's about to become the leading executive in the Jewish community sits down for an exclusive interview. Educators from around the country gather at Hebrew Union College. How is the financial crisis affecting Jewish education? Israeli designers are making waves in the jewelry business. And more of the Jewish news that's changing your world in this webcast version of the Week in Review. Hello, and welcome to the Jewish Channel's Week in Review. I'm Stephen I. Weiss. Violence in Israel again made headlines this week, but it was a different kind of violence. A shooting by a masked gunman at an LGBT youth support center killed 2 and wounded at least 11 others. The murdered were 16-year-old Liz Trubeshi and 26-year-old Nir Kot. Due to the nature of the attack involving a masked gunman and no suicide attack or claim of responsibility by a terrorist group, Israeli law enforcement and the media are operating under the assumption the attack was motivated purely by hatred of the LGBT community. And many are pointing fingers at the ultra-orthodox community in Israel, and particularly the religious political party Shas, saying that the anti-gay rhetoric from those communities has fostered the hatred that led to the shooting. That the ultra-orthodox in Israel are anti-gay is no surprise, and in 2005, an ultra-orthodox protester stabbed 3 participants of Jerusalem's gay pride parade. A particular spotlight has been placed on Shas Knesset member Nissim Ze'ev, whose anti-gay rhetoric in the past has included blaming an earthquake on permission being given for a gay pride parade in Jerusalem. Protesters in Israel have carried signs saying Ze'ev has blood on his hands and similar statements. Ze'ev maintains his critical tone toward homosexuality while also condemning the gunman in an interview with Israeli newspaper Yediot Achronot, saying one must distinguish completely between a murder, may the All-Merciful protect us, and a lifestyle which is unacceptable to us. But saying that murdering them is permitted, how can anyone think for a minute that it is permitted to murder someone? Ze'ev added, "It is our duty in any case to warn against this lifestyle. As far as we are concerned, we must not authorize or recognize it, but this has nothing to do with murder. Murder is the most serious and shocking thing. It's madness, and the murderer must face trial. There are no doubts whatsoever." The Shas Party issued its own statement condemning the shooting, saying the attacker must be located quickly and judged severely. Murder naturally contradicts the way of Torah, and any harm is against the religion of Israel. Vigils worldwide calling for LGBT tolerance and remembrance of the dead included one in Washington, where rabbinic leaders and an estimated 200 community members gathered in protest and prayer. Also present was a representative of the Israeli embassy who said,
"The government of Israel is committed to bringing the murderer to justice and to treating him with the utmost severity of the law."
Another vigil promoted by the larger LGBT community took place in New York on Wednesday at the LGBT synagogue congregation Beth Simchat Torah.
We know that the rabbis teach us, I see a sign here that says the image of God, Selim Elohim, that all people, men, women, are created in the image of God, and that the rabbis teach us that the reason that we're taught that we're all descended from one man and one woman, Adam and Eve, is so that no one can say, I'm better than the other person. I was high-born. I am an aristocrat. I'm straight. I'm whatever. That we're all equal in the sight of God.
We'll have more on this story as it develops. Meantime, in the American Jewish community, educating Jewish youth has become a contentious issue, owing to financial and other concerns. One very bold example of how the ongoing financial crisis is affecting Jewish education is the fact that a major Jewish education conference was canceled due to financial difficulties. A group of organizations teamed up to replace the conference and was surprised when twice as many people showed up as were expected. Christian Needon was there.
150 Jewish educators from around the country gathered at Hebrew Union College this week for a 3-day conference aimed at making childhood Jewish learning a family matter. A similar event was previously organized through the Coalition for the Advancement of Jewish Education, or CAGE, but was canceled this year due to the economic downturn, forcing a collection of local agencies to come together and organize their own conference.
When CAGE was no longer this year, that there was a need in the community for learning. And when we really believe that family learning and bringing families more involved and making them a part of the process really builds community and enriches the lives of them and their children and the communities within which they're a part of.
To find out how Jewish educators from around the country are responding to the current economic climate, check out the broadcast version of the Week in Review.
Thank you, Christian. On perhaps the opposite end of the spectrum from how financial difficulties are affecting education is the market in luxury goods. Israeli designers were out in force at a major jewelry trade show, and Margie Rauhat was checking things out.
It was a fashionista's heaven as designers from around the globe showcased their newest shoes, handbags, sweaters, scarves, and jewelry at Accessories the Show. TJC caught up with some of the Israeli designers to find out what's putting Israel ahead in the world of jewelry design. One thing that we found was that regardless of the current state of the economy, women today are looking for accessories that are of the moment and are less interested in investing in heirlooms.
Jewelry that is wearable, jewelry that is fashion forward, jewelry that follows the trend. It's not jewelry that's supposed to go into your estate.
But how are Israeli politics affecting jewelry sales? Find out in the broadcast version of the Week in Review.
Thank you, Margie. The United Jewish Communities is an organization you may not have heard of, but as the umbrella organization for local federations, which are in turn positioned as umbrella organizations for local communities. One could make the argument that the UJC is the most influential organization in the American Jewish community. It recently announced its new leadership, including incoming CEO Jerry Silverman. Silverman was a marketing executive in the world of apparel before switching gears to head the Foundation for Jewish Camp 5 years ago. He granted TJC News an exclusive interview where he shared his plans for the American Jewish community's future. So, Jerry Silverman, you're about to assume a position of relatively unparalleled executive leadership in the Jewish world, just as the Jewish world is in severe turmoil. The Wall Street crash hit the Jewish community hard. The Madoff scandal literally wiped out a number of organizations and left many damaged. There is a clear consensus that Jewish life expenses for the average family have reached unsustainability. And numbers for non-affiliation and non-participation in Jewish life are higher than ever. This is the largest megaphone available, your opportunity to speak directly to the Jewish channel's 35,000 subscribers around the country. What's your message for the Jewish community right now?
Number one is the word you use as far as crises or challenges I switch into opportunities. And if you look at the work that's being done in federations across the country and the way they're meeting the challenges in these uncommon times are pretty amazing. They have dealt with it head on, they've made challenging decisions, but they're also delivering unparalleled services across the board. And to me, during these uncommon times, is a real opportunity to create change in thinking and to create freshness and newness. So although there are definitive challenges we face, there's even greater opportunities in being able to tackle these situations head on and really raise the bar.
We've got more of the interview with Silverman in the television broadcast version of the Week in Review, but as a special web bonus feature, we put out a notice on Twitter to let anyone submit a question for this Jewish executive. Here are answers to the two that made the cut. The first question came from Menachem Wecker, who wrote that UJC's annual report says it, quote, enriches Jewish life. I'd want to hear more of what they're doing for Jewish culture and art, and he adds, my guess, not much.
Having not started the job, I'm not going to pretend to be an expert in every area, but one of the areas that UJC, on behalf of the Federation, supports in a very strong way is the Foundation for Jewish Culture. So I think that it is very much on the agenda and would be happy to give you more specifics as I become more engaged in the position.
Rabbi Jason Miller tweeted, ask UJC incoming CEO Jerry Silverman how he'll apply his knowledge of Jewish camping to the Jewish Federation world.
Well, it's, to me, the concept of Jewish camping is about experiencing Judaism live. It's about living it 24/7. And the more that we can get families, individuals, communities to experience 24/7 missions where you're really together for that 24/7 period, service projects like the one I mentioned in New Orleans, the more that we can experience 24/7, the more we're going to get closer as a community.
That's all for this week. For more news and analysis from the Jewish Channel, please check out our blog at newsdesk.tjctv.com. From all of us here at the Jewish Channel, be well. The Jewish Channel is available on cable, IO Optimum Cable Channel 291, Time Warner Cable Channel 528, Verizon Fios Channel 900, and Cox Cable Channel 1. For more information, visit tjctv.com.